Jennifer Diamond channel. And if you are new here, well, my name is Jennifer Diamond, and I'm a certified plant-based nutrition coach living a whole food, plant-exclusive lifestyle for health and well-being. And it literally gave me my life back. And I truly believe that it can help you with yours too. So I am so happy you are all here with me today. I love sharing how I live and how I healed and what I've learned along the way through whole food plant-based living, through movement and mindful choices. And so I'm gonna just tell everybody, I'd love to have you say hello in the chat and tell me where you're from if you're new here. And if you are watching this as a replay, well, you can still comment and ask questions. I always try to come back and respond as soon as I can. So I just want to tell you guys, I am solo today. Todd is in the chat, but he is not here in person. And hi, everybody. It's so great. So, so far we're doing good, and I've got us going here. Well, I just want to take a minute and tell you that, whole food plant-based living is really about supporting the body as a whole, right? And it's about how our choices affect our bodies, our health, and our planet. So it's about how we nourish our bodies and how our bodies function, including how we digest and how we eliminate. In fact, one of the most common changes people experience when they begin eating more whole plant foods is that their digestion changes because there's typically, eating more fiber. So things move more efficiently through our digestive tract, and elimination or pooping, right? It becomes more regular. So digestion is central to why so many people feel better when they're eating this way. And when digestion changes, at least for me, it naturally made me curious about the rest of the process, including, how we clean ourselves afterwards. Most people use toilet paper without thinking about it. And I have to say, that was me too. I never questioned anything about toilet paper until probably, over the last handful of years. So, I started thinking like, why do we use toilet paper? Right? So I have a question before I say hello in the chat. I just want to ask, has anyone here really thought much about their toilet paper? Let me know in the chat. I really want to know. And in the meantime, I'm going to just take a minute and say hello to everyone. So trying to learn how to do this a little bit better. Oh, hello, Jill Caperton, 1568. Hi, Jennifer and Todd. So good to have you here, Jill. Core Scorpy says hello. Hi, Core Scorpy. Core Scorpy says hi to Jennifer, Todd, and friends. That's very nice. And Todd is in the house. Hi, sweetheart. Good to have you here. Todd says, you're doing awesome, honey. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And Mona is in the house. Hi, Mona. It's so good to have everyone here. Everyone, I really appreciate it. So yes, when you get a chance, go ahead and let me know in the chat. Has anyone here really thought much about, toilet paper? And when you look at it from that perspective, then I think this topic isn't really random. It's actually very connected, right? Because toilet paper naturally becomes part of our digestion story, I guess. And digestion is, it's foundational to health, right? And okay, so I was thinking like toilet paper exists because it solves real problems, So like it's convenient, it's widely available, it's easy to use. There's no learning curve to it. No explanation is required. No awkward transition. And in much of the Western world, it's the cultural norm, right? A norm that most of us don't think about or even question. And it's been really interesting to have some really fun information to share with you today. And, today there are more choices than ever, really, right? We've got recycled options. I've got some different ones here. We've got bamboo options, chlorine-free options, which is a really good thing, by the way. did you even know that some of the most common known brands of toilet paper have chlorine and like other toxins in them? Like maybe this one. Well, I didn't know that originally, and when I learned about it, I was super shocked. I mean, but we're going to get into all of that a bit in a little bit here. So now, I just want to also say this is not about being anti toilet paper, okay? It's about understanding our options, what they are, the pros and cons, and how they fit in with your personal choices. So I'm going to check the chat and see if anyone was able to answer the question. Has anyone here really thought much about their toilet paper? So let's see. Mona says, can't say I have. Just buy cheap store brand. Core Scorpy says, nope, haven't thought much about toilet paper with a giggly face. And Jill Caperton says, I look for strong yet soft. Awesome, you guys. And if anyone comes on and you want to still, share about your thoughts on it or lack of thoughts, I'd, be happy to share that and we can talk about it more. And so let's start with a quick review of how we got here to where we are, right? Using toilet paper all the time, and talk about where toilet paper actually came from and why it's still such a huge fixture in hygiene today. Because I got to tell you, this didn't happen by accident. For most of human history, toilet paper didn't exist at all, right? So people used they used what's was available to them at the time, like water, leaves, a cloth, and even things like, yep, corn cobs or straw in some regions. So let me just try to do this over here. I'm going to bring up a picture. Here is a photo. Look at me, I'm doing so well. This is corn cobs at the toilet and straws for toilet paper. Isn't this crazy? No, definitely not ideal by today's standards, but it was practical for the time. And I just kind of joked around with Todd and said, wow, can you imagine? I mean, those look like they have the kernels on them, but I'm like, are you supposed to cook it and eat it and then use it? I don't know. But at any rate, let me go back here. Okay, but seriously, the first known references to using toilet paper specifically for bathroom hygiene came from China. Around the 6th century, when a scholar that I'm going to try not to mess up his name, I have a little cheat sheet here, named Yan Zhitui, I hope I said that right, and forgive me if I didn't, wrote that he would never use paper for toilet purposes if it was used for sacred writing. So that kind of tells us something important. It tells us that paper was already being used for wiping even as far back as 2,600 years ago. Oh my gosh, right? So over time, China moved from using leftover paper to actually producing paper that was intended specifically for hygiene. Okay? Now, by the 14th century, historical records show that toilet paper was being manufactured at a scale in China, even in like large sheets, and in some cases they were even perfuming them. So they perfumed the paper, and that was like for royalty. Okay, for me it'd probably make me sneeze. So the idea of toilet paper was not modern, but it was widespread used in the Western world. And in the United States, the first commercially marketed toilet paper appeared in 1857, sold as flat sheets. Okay, and I have a picture to show you of that. Let me see if I can get that one. Look at this. Now you can't really see it, but that's how it came. So it was these flat sheets, and it wasn't originally marked as soft, right? It was marketed as functional and sanitary, okay? Which I thought was really interesting. So then a big shift came later. And before we get into that, I mean, have you guys ever seen flat sheet toilet paper? I've never seen that. I guess I have some I could say is flat sheet, but it doesn't come like that now, right? So I thought that was really interesting. But in the late 1800s, toilet paper started being sold on rolls, right? Which made it easier to store, easier to use, and easier to normalize. Because once the rolls became standard, toilet paper became something that every household expected to have. And from there, a few things happened. Well, we first began building plumbing systems with toilet paper in mind. This is crazy to think. Toilets and sewer systems were designed and built with a disposable, flushable paper product in mind. Okay. Now, second, convenience took over. Okay, so toilet paper didn't require a steep learning curve, right? It didn't require additional tools, and there was very little explanation needed for how to use it. Okay, and then third, and this part really matters, marketing changed the whole story. Toilet paper stopped being about function and started being about lifestyle. And it was marketed as soft, plush, quilted, cushioned, and ultra premium. And then over time, we were trained to associate softness with cleanliness and care. Don't get mad yet. Marketing toilet paper in the 1800s, particularly here in the United States, was a challenging, discreet, and largely medicalized effort, as bodily functions back then were considered like really taboo. And so from 1850 to 1870, advertisements primarily promoted flat, medicated sheets. Okay. But in the 1890s, when the Scott Paper Company introduced rolled toilet paper, the ads moved away from purely medicinal claims towards convenience. Through the subject, even though the subject still remained kind of hush hush, right? And so those ads by the Scott Tissue Company focused on the dangers of competitor brands. So they were claiming that they could cause rectal disease, their competitors. And so that was their own brand that you should use because their brand was pure. It's like, oh, whoa. Okay, so by the end of the 19th century, with the rise of indoor plumbing, ads increasingly featured recommendations for that was from actually the plumbers and from doctors that were emphasizing that this specific paper wouldn't clog your pipes. Okay, so I want to show you another picture here. Let me just see here. Oh, and I'm just quickly checking the chat. Yeah, Mona says original Heine wipes. That's right. Those were that last picture. Okay, so look at this. Look at this, okay? Today's ads and marketing talk about soft, multiple sheets that are so luxurious, Mr. Whipple would scold shoppers in the commercials. Don't squeeze the Charmin. So I got to ask you guys, who remembers Mr. Whipple? Are there any other toilet paper commercials that you remember? I certainly remember Mr. Whipple and those commercials. Oh my goodness. So let me come back to the right camera. Okay, so far so good here. So, you know, that shift increased consumption. And not because people needed more to be clean, but because the product was designed and promoted that way, right? They didn't need to convince people to clean themselves. They only needed to influence how people did it and make them feel more comfortable about it. So at the same time, water-based hygiene, which has existed for centuries in many cultures, was largely left out of the Western normalization. And it wasn't because it didn't work, but because it didn't fit the disposable repeat purchase model, right? And once something becomes the default in homes and schools and offices and public restrooms, it becomes invisible and we stop questioning it. Hmm. So this isn't a story about making villains out of the paper industry at all. It's just simply how consumer habits are shaped when infrastructure, convenience, and business incentives align. Right? So that doesn't mean rejecting toilet paper. It just means understanding how it became the default and knowing that we're allowed to choose differently if we want to. Okay. So questioning toilet paper isn't radical and it's not extreme and it's not anti progress, right? It's a simple part of doing what whole food plant based living invites us to do anyway, right? Which is to look at everyday choices and then ask some questions, right? Does this still make sense for my body? Does it still make sense for my comfort? Does it still make sense for my values? So I'm hoping, did anyone put anything in the chat? Like who remembers Mr. Whipple or, any other uh, toilet paper commercials that you remember? And it's not too late to go ahead and add that. I would love to hear Mr. Whipple. Oh my gosh, please don't squeeze the Charmin. You can you can watch some of those. Google him if you want later and check out some old fun Mr. Whipple commercials if you want. But so now that we understand where toilet paper came from and why it became the default, we can talk about what's changed. Because our bodies have changed, our awareness has changed, and our options have really changed. And that's where the rest of this conversation comes in. So here's an important thing to understand. And I want to say this with kindness and perspective. Dry paper became the standard because it fit our routines and our expectations. It was never designed to be the most thorough or effective method. It was just a convenient one. So, how do you feel about that? Dry paper removes some material, but not all material. And that's not a criticism. It's simply a limitation of the tool itself. And when the tool has limits, what do? We tend to compensate by using more of it. More wiping means more friction, and over time, repeating friction can matter, right? Especially for people who are increasing their fiber or healing their digestion or experiencing hormonal changes or dealing with sensitive or inflamed tissues in that area, and that would include hemorrhoids, for example. And so I'm going to check the chat, and then I want to move on into something else that's really interesting. And I see, okay, let's see. Core Scorpy, Mr. Whipple is before my time. The cob on the corn is crazy, though. It is kind of nuts, isn't it? Mona Arendt says, yes, I remember. And Jill Caperton says, I remember Mr. Whipple. Yeah, me too. And so, Core Scorpy, you got to check out Mr. Whipple on your free time so that you'll know what we're talking about or what I'm talking about. Now, I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about lint. Yes, lint. Lint, tiny, soft, fuzzy bits of fluff or little pieces of threads that come off of our clothes, like what you find in your pockets or on a sweater or stuck in a towel after it's been washed or in the dryer. There's a lint catcher. So it's those little fibers, and there are brands of toilet paper that shed lint. And I am going to show you a little bit of an exaggerated photo of that. So let me see if I could do this. Here we go. Look at this. Okay, now this is where lint comes into the conversation, because once you notice it, it's really hard to unsee it, right? So, ultra soft plush toilet papers are engineered to feel very soft in your hand. And that softness doesn't happen naturally, it comes from processing. Heavy processing weakens the paper fibers, and then the weakened fibers shed, and that shedding is the lint. Okay, so lint is made of like tiny cellulose fibers that can cling to most skin, trap moisture, and contribute to irritation. And sensitive skin tissue does not love lint residue. Okay, so let me come back here. And so that was exaggerated. Now, I had put this brand here. This is the Charmin we're going to talk about. It's the soft, squishy, Mr. Whipple, on our bathroom. That's, when you first walk in. Some of my family members prefer this one, and I have switched to some of these other ones when using that, but we'll get into that later. What I want to say is that roll that you saw in the picture, holds the toilet paper. We have a similar one, and I just went right before we came on here. I just went back over there, and I took my finger and I just wiped on my finger around the what's on attached to the wall, the holder. And this is what I mean, just to show you, look at that lint. Isn't that crazy? That's lint. So it can get trapped, it can fall all around, right? When we're ripping it, it can, end up being in our sensitive areas. And it's just something I never really thought about. But, just if you want to at some point and you use toilet paper, at some point, kind of check and see, do you have lint around there on the floor or around anything? And just brings awareness. I just thought that was a really interesting. So, you know I also know that you can take some of the toilet paper and rub it, rub it on your hands and see if anything comes on here. I didn't find that was helpful. I didn't notice that, but I definitely notice the lint that is left behind. And so so what actually feels soft to the touch isn't always the gentlest option, in practice, right? So here's a question for you guys. Does anyone know how toilet paper is manufactured? Have you ever dove into that and learned about how toilet paper is manufactured? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. It's a simple yes or no. And so while you guys are doing that, let's talk about that, right? Most conventional toilet paper is made from virgin tree pulp, okay? Virgin tree pulp, or in some cases, it's blended with recycled paper pulp. Now, producing it requires large amounts of water, significant energy, and additional processing to make it very white, right? And very soft. For whatever reason, I think we think white means cleaner. I don't know. Oh dear. So I want to walk through what that actually means at a high level. So this stays informative and not scary or anything, but most conventional toilet paper starts as wood. Okay, and there are big machines that are meant to take that wood down, and the wood is broken down into pulp. I mean, there's some other steps that go into it, because they take the wood down and they clean the fibers, and they get stripped down the outside edge, and eventually it gets broken down into pulp. And so the fibers can then be separated and turned into paper. And this is not all the steps. This is just kind of a fast way to share. So to do that, to turn it into paper, manufacturers use a combination of mechanical processing and chemical treatments to dissolve lignin. which is the natural glue that holds the wood fibers together. So it's naturally in the wood. Okay. And this pulping stage is energy and water intensive, and it sets the foundation for everything that comes next. So once the pulp is created, it usually goes through a bleaching process at that time. Bleaching isn't about cleanliness, like I started to say. It's not about safety. It's just about appearance. Oh, wow. I never thought of that. So, wood pulp is naturally brown or beige, right? Think of what wood, if you've seen a tree cut and you look in the middle there, it's not pure white like this. It's usually a brown or beige. It's not bright white at all. So, to achieve that uniform white look, we expect, because I believe we have an expectation, even if we're not aware of it, the pulp is treated with bleaching agents. Okay. Depending on the process, this can involve chlorine based compounds or alternative oxygen based methods, which is kind of crazy. Modern regulations limit how much residue remains in the finished paper, so that's good. But bleaching byproducts are one reason some people prefer the unbleached or chlorine free options, especially if you have sensitive skin, for sensitive skin. And I'm going to go over some of these in a little bit of what I have here. And I see Marilyn Dubin is in the house. Hello, Marilyn. Welcome to the conversation. And so after bleaching, the paper goes through softening and strengthening stages, because softness doesn't happen naturally. So this is where toilet paper becomes plush, right? To create that soft plush feel, manufacturers modify the paper fibers using a combination of processing methods and softening agents. Yikes. So some of the most commonly used softening agents fall into a few broad categories. So one group includes compounds similar to those used in fabric softeners, actually. And these coat the paper fibers so that they feel smoother and less abrasive. Another group includes strengthening resins, and these help soft paper stay intact when it gets wet so that it doesn't fall apart immediately. One of the chemicals used in this process is formaldehyde. Okay. And which, has been linked to some cancers and low sperm count in men, and can be absorbed into delicate skin in sensitive areas, which is posing a risk for everyone, including men. And we're going to talk about women in a minute as well. But some manufacturers also use silicone based treatments or fatty acid derivatives to create a slick, flexible feel, and then that would reduce roughness. So the thing is, none of this is about how well the toilet paper cleans. It's about how the paper feels in your hand. Ah, my gosh. So finally, the paper is dried using heated rollers, and there's sometimes embossing that goes on for texture. And then it's layered into multiple plies, the 2-ply, the 1-ply, the 3-ply. Then it's cut, and then it's packaged. And by the time it reaches the shelf, conventional toilet paper has been through many, many, many steps and processed with a variety of chemicals. And some are, known to be the forever chemicals. And there's microplastics to optimize how it looks and feels, and not necessarily how effective it is. So it's also important to mention that finished toilet paper is regulated, and the amounts of these substances are generally low. But, it's just one thing to say. So let me check the chat. I was asking, does anyone know how toilet paper is manufactured? And I just shared, but it doesn't look like, oh, I do see Jill said nope. So now you have a better idea. One additional thing to mention is that there are also products that are fragranced. Okay, so fragrance isn't a single ingredient either. It's a blend of many compounds that manufacturers aren't required to fully disclose to us. So, for some people, fragrance can contribute to irritation, to itching, or delayed healing, particularly with that repeated contact. So, the question isn't, is this immediately harmful? The more relevant question is about frequency, sensitivity, and cumulative exposure. So, toilet paper is used every day, often multiple times a day, on some of the most absorbent tissues on the human body. And for people with sensitive skin, hormone changes, um, existing irritations or compromised skin barriers, repeated exposure even at low levels, I think it can matter more. So, and keep in mind, our skin changes over time. Like children have thinner skin, that's more reactive skin. um, Hormonal cycles can affect sensitivity. And for women during peri and post menopause, we have the declining estrogen that leads to thinner, drier, more fragile tissue. And as tissue becomes more delicate, friction and residue, it matters more. So that's not a problem that I'm sharing. That's just wisdom. Okay. So, as our bodies change, our hygiene needs to change too. Responding gently, I think, is part of self care. So, because vulvar and perianal skin is thinner and more absorbent. The perianal skin is the sensitive skin that surrounds the anus, and it's prone to irritation from tissues like, or not tissues, but issues like diarrhea and constipation and hemorrhoids, infection, chafing, and so on. And at high levels, gynecologists often recommend fragrance free products or dye free products with minimal ingredients and less friction. And again, this doesn't mean everyone's going to have a problem. It simply explains why some people notice improvements when they switch to like simpler, fragrant free, or low processed options. So, this is not about fear or rebelling against the toilet paper industry. I just want to make that clear. It's about understanding how something becomes soft and white and durable and deciding what feels appropriate for your body. What feels appropriate for my body. And just like with food, skincare or cleaning products, many people choose to reduce unnecessary processing where they can as they learn, and not because they have to, but because they have the option, right? So if you've ever wondered about what's in your food or household products, there's an app called Yucca. Is anyone familiar with that? You can download this app, Yucca, Yuka. It's a mobile app and it scans barcodes of food and cosmetic products, and it provides instant health scores from 0 to 100. And it's based on nutritional value or additives or organic content. So, does anyone have the Yucca on your phone? If you have you used it before? What do you think of it? I have it on my phone. Let me see if I can show you what it looks like, because it's like free, and then there's also, oh, here it is. Whoops, let me just show you. It's like this little carrot looking guy right here, this little carrot, and it just says Yucca. And if I click on it, then there's a spot where you can scan, and there's history of some different products that I've looked at, and it's free, but then there is also a paid version, and it's very helpful if you're looking at different things like that. So, okay, I want to tell you, I tried this yesterday, and I took the toilet paper and I tried it on that app, right? And what I found that surprisingly, there wasn't a lot of information on the Yucca app about these particular products. Okay? Like there wasn't information, period. I was surprised. And after doing a little digging, um, okay, so I'll just tell you what I did was I scanned it, right? You do the barcode, and then it just said that there was nothing existing, and then it tells you like, would you like to add the product to their system? And I said yes, and then it says what is the product, what is the brand. So I filled that out, and then there's the camera comes on, and it says take a picture of the ingredients. Well, there is no ingredients on toilet paper. Huh. So I was surprised. And after I did a little bit of digging, I learned that at least here in the United States, toilet paper is treated as a paper product, not a food, cosmetic, or drug product. So only products regulated by the FDA's Food, Drug, and Cosmetic labeling rules are required to list full ingredients. Toilet paper doesn't fall under those labeling laws. So companies are not legally required to list every substance used, or even any of them, in its manufacturing. Did you even know that? I mean, I was so surprised. So that's why you typically see branding, ply count, maybe chlorine free, natural, right? But no detailed ingredients panel like you would on food, skincare products, makeup, and so on. So the reason you can't find ingredients listed for Charmin, which we have here, or Kaboo, which I have here, or the Natural Grocer toilet paper is simply because the law doesn't require them to provide one. Can you believe it? So so I had asked, has anyone used that app? What do you think of it? And I see that Todd wrote it out. And Jill says, I have it, but I haven't used it. Yeah. Well, it's something to think about. It's kind of fun. I know when I first started using it, I was like, oh, I had so much fun with it. I was going to everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh, let me see if this is good or that's good, or, and even though it rates it, you can decide if those ratings apply to you and it matters to you. But it certainly was fun to see how things rate. And then it also sometimes will suggest, if you have, I don't know, a mascara, which is something that I recently looked up, and it doesn't get high marks. It might suggest looking at this one that does get high marks, and so it's kind of fun. So let me know if you try it or if anybody downloads it and checks it out. And I have no affiliation. I just wanted to share that. So okay, so here's another thing to watch out for. Terms that you can find on toilet paper packaging, all right, like natural or fresh or pure or eco. Those are a few examples. Those terms aren't regulated, so they don't really mean anything as far as actual product manufacturing and quality is concerned. So you may find some toilet paper that says organic. Oh, this is a really tricky one because I couldn't find any, and I went to several stores yesterday specifically looking for the word organic on the toilet paper. Now, it's tricky because toilet paper is made from pulp that we talked about earlier and fibers, not from food crops. And because nearly all that pulp is processed and bleached using industrial methods, it's very rare, if it exists at all, to find a USDA certified organic toilet paper on the market. And the organic standards are tailored to agricultural and food products, not for paper goods. And even I went looking for a search online, and I did see one that said organic toilet paper. And when I clicked on it and went to the actual product, it didn't say anything about organic. So, So there isn't a widely recognized USDA certified organic toilet paper category in the US marketplace right now as we're recording this, because paper products fall outside of that normal organic labeling ecosystem. So some brands may adapt their own standards or do like third party certifications. And as a result, they can claim they're organic, but they can't use the USDA organic seal unless they meet strict rules that rarely apply to toilet paper. And this is often where people living a whole food plant-based lifestyle naturally kind of pause, and then they might ask, and this is something that I did personally, is there a gentler option for my body, for the planet? And one option that I came up with is bamboo, and it's one of the fastest growing plants on Earth. And I have some right here. This one says bamboo tissue. We're going to talk more about it. This one is recycled, but I think this is also bamboo. And so some species of bamboo can grow several feet in a single day if it's under like the right conditions. Bamboo grows from an underground root system, which means that it can be harvested without killing the plant, which means it's naturally regenerates and continues to grow. Isn't that amazing? I thought that was so cool. So most bamboo used for products matures in about, say, 3 to 5 years, right? By comparison, when you look at the trees used for paper, it can take decades to mature, and then we wipe them out. So that fast growth and natural regrowth with bamboo is why bamboo is often considered an abundant and renewable resource. And that said, the way bamboo is processed, it still matters too, because there's bleaching, softening, packaging, and transportation. They all play a role in the final impact of the product. So bamboo can be a gentler starting material, especially when it's minimally processed and it's fragrant free. But guys, there's no perfect option. I mean, but it's just learning as much as you can and being aware. It's a common misconception that bamboo and recycled options aren't as soft as the virgin pulp used in conventional toilet paper. Um, uh, I'm happy to report that modern manufacturing techniques that use sustainable material offer the comfort and the strength that, our bottoms can get behind, right? Without the environmental impact. It's a little fun truth there. But another option that's good for the environment, better for your body, and requires no paper at all is the bidet. All right. So here's a question. Without getting too personal, has anyone used a bidet? And if you have, what did you think? And so you could just put yes or no, or do you even know what a bidet is? So in many parts of the world, dry paper alone isn't the norm. And in much of Europe, washing after elimination is the common thing. And toilet paper is often used mainly for drying. And I'll tell you a little thing, when I was a baby, my parents and I lived in Italy. We lived in Italy. And I remember when I was a little older, my mom telling me that we had a bidet next to the toilet in an apartment that we lived in Europe. And it wasn't a lid on a main toilet like some do nowadays. It was its own separate basin. And anyways, she said that she used to rinse out my cloth diapers in the bidet. Maybe too much information sharing, but I thought that was really interesting. And I'll share with you, I personally really like bidets, but I don't always have access to one. So knowing what all the options are is important to me now that I'm aware of what my other options are, and hopefully yours too. Now, in Japan, water-based cleaning is standard, and hygiene is viewed as preventative care and dignity, right? So when I was in Japan, I learned so much about their toilets and their whole cleaning process, but that is a topic for another day. So let me see if I can pull this picture up. Look at this. Here is like a bidet next to a toilet. And, that's kind of, it's like its own sink. And it looks like that one has hot and cold options for water. So I just wanted to share that. Okay, so the truth of it is, water cleans more effectively than dry paper. It reduces friction, it reduces residue, it reduces risk of exposure to the chemicals used to manufacture the paper products. And here's the beautiful connection: whole food plant based digestion pairs naturally with water based cleaning, if you ask me. So bidets don't have to be complicated or extreme. They can be simple attachments, handheld sprayers, I've heard, or integrated toilet lids. So that picture that I just showed you, in most common tracts in the United States, homes and apartments, we don't have space to put the two like that. So a lot of people that I know, including myself, I have tried. We don't currently have one. Got lids that you can connect, and they have a whole cleaning system and a remote, and you can try that. So most people still use small amounts of toilet paper, just much less of it, and most just to dry themselves after washing. Another option is you can cut up old cotton diapers or other cotton material and have it in a clean basket or container near the toilet to use to gently dry after cleaning with a bidet or other water forms, if that's something that you're interested in looking into. It certainly cuts costs, right? So adding water doesn't complicate the bathroom routine. For many people, it actually simplifies them. And for sensitive skin, healing tissue, or aging bodies, water-based cleaning can be incredibly supportive. So I want to go back and check the chat. No, without getting too personal, has anyone used a bidet? And what did you think about it? And so let me see. Oh, we have some other comments I'm going to read also. Core Scorpy says, bamboo sustainability sounds awesome. I wonder what other sustainable options are out there. Hemp, maybe. Ooh, time to Google. Yeah, that's one to check into. I haven't tried out water splasher, LOL, but I know they are popular, says Scorpy. And Mona Arendt says manufacturing really needs to start looking into hemp. And she was talking about what Core Scorpy said. Yes, and they agree. And Mona Arendt says, my friend has one and loves it. They're just amazing. I think they're super cool. And so I want to also talk about even wet wipes. And I've got some here. So I've got okay, these are some that my kids, my adult children had left when the babies were here, and they're not in diapers anymore, but, these say do not flush. And these are just wipes, but anybody can use these. And then here's another one. And so there's these, but then there's also some of these other ones, like this one just says butts deserve better. And it's just like a wipe. And wow, this one has ingredients listed on it. Now it's a wet wipe, so for whatever reason the dry toilet paper doesn't list it, but on here it does, and it's so tiny I can't even begin to read it. But anyway, so I have some of these, and then I even have this guy right here. It says stay clean with antiseptic wipes, and it says do not flush, and you can see there's a picture of a guy with the standing at the toilet. And I also have recently heard about these wipes. They're called dude wipes. I don't know anything about them, but apparently they're masculine wipes. I have no idea. So even wet wipes can feel cleaner than dry paper, right? And they can be helpful occasionally, especially for travel or illness. Even I think also of camping too. But you don't want to it doesn't break down, so you're going to want to take it with you. But many of them contain preservatives and chemicals. They leave a residue, and they're not truly flushable like I just showed you here. So they're best seen as like a temporary bridge, not really a long-term solution, if you ask me. Water-based cleaning is usually gentler over time. And as we ramp up this toilet paper topic, I want to say, today isn't about shame or about doing things right. It's not about judging anyone's choices. And I am not advocating for a new world order, like where every home is outfitted with bidets, even though I think that would be super cool. It's just about awareness in an area that you may not have even thought about before. Toilet paper is one of the most common and least questioned, I think, daily exposures we have. Small informed choices can reduce irritation, lower chemical exposure, support sensitivity or sensitive issues, I should say, and benefit the environment, right? So you don't need to change everything. You don't need to be perfect. You just start asking better questions, even about things we usually don't talk about, and see if you want to try something new that might be a better solution for your body and your home and our planet. And so, I want to just take a few minutes here and kind of share about some of these products I have here, or see if anyone has any questions or anything that thought about. If you enjoyed this, I would really like to hear about that. But so Todd says, "Wow, so much info about something I so rarely think about. Great job, honey." Well, thank you so much. And yes, we talked about that, in me getting prepared for this. It's like, have you learned a lot? I asked him yesterday because I was, talking about all of this, and yeah, we both have. So let me just take a few minutes. So this one I thought was interesting, right? Some of these are individually wrapped, whereas some of them come in one giant wrapper. So that's something to be said, and this paper feels really, really thin, and it says 100% recycled, 100% recycled, natural value. And it's one roll. It says it's unscented. It says it's 2-ply. It's got 500 sheets and 54 square feet. And on the back, it says, it's got all these, I got to show you, it's got all these pictures here too, so maybe it's for, I think pictures are really good, especially like if you don't speak that language and you're visiting or whatever. But it's basically showing no size reduction, septic tank safe. That's another big thing. If people are on septic tanks, or if you have an RV and you want to make sure it breaks down and it doesn't get stuck or clogged, it's recycled. It said strong and sturdy, 2-ply, and it just talks about how it's kind to your skin and free of harsh chemicals, and just talking about their process here, and how let's see, our commitment to environmental responsibility extends to our manufacturing process by using continual recycled well water without chlorine dyes, inks, or fragrances to ensure that our tissue has minimal impact and easily breakdowns in septic systems. That's kind of cool. So that's that one, right? This one I got to show you. I'm really into this. So it's also in a paper, and this is got a little sticker, on the top, and it says sustainable products for wise folks, and it's got an owl on it. This is called Kaboo, and it's made from sustainable bamboo, and it says tree-free toilet paper, right? So we just learned there's a difference between the tree wood and the bamboo. So this is bamboo, and it's up to us to save our butts. That's what it says. Oh my goodness, isn't that funny? And then basically on the side, it says we can make a difference, and it talks about preserving the forest to protect animal habitats, and the forest thanks you. The average family uses 2 trees worth of toilet paper a year. And so it says, yikes, toilet paper a year. And so it's, talking about going bamboo. And then the back side, I'll just, it's got a little comparison here, right? So this is the tree paper side versus the kaboo, which is the bamboo. And the bamboo one says no wood, it's tree free, 1 gallon of water per roll. Bamboo regrows in 1 to 2 years, and we spoke about some of that. Whereas they're saying the tree paper is 1 to 1.5 pounds of wood. That's a lot of wood per roll. 37 gallons of water per roll. Trees take 30 years to grow. And I mean, so this is really cute. This looks like a paw with an upside down heart. It says no animal testing, made from panda friendly bamboo. You got to see this little logo thing. Isn't that cute? See it right here. Look, dee. And so this is kind of a cool one. But again, there's nothing that talks about ingredients or anything like that. And I'll just quickly go over a couple more. So this one, I thought, well, it came wrapped in plastic, but I was trying to, try different ones. And you see, we've been using this one because I only have a couple left. And on the back where I originally thought there was ingredients, it's a warning. It's not ingredients. It's telling you don't suffocate your baby or your animals or anybody with the plastic bag. And so this is bamboo. It's got the elephant. It says that it's recycle if clean and dry, store drop off plastic wrap. And so it says 100% paper from renewable bamboo resources. And that's pretty much it. And in the back, and the side here, it talks about their unique story. So anyways, I didn't read that. And then this one, 7th generation. Let me see if I can just kind of go over this one. 7th generation. So this one is 100% recycled. Okay, so we touched on it. We didn't really go in deep on that, but recycled is when they take the recyclables that we, hopefully are recycling, and they sort it, and they take out the cardboard, and they take out the plastic and things that can't be used in recycling, and they try to, use that for toilet paper and different other paper products. Okay, so this one, it says extra soft and strong, whitened without chlorine bleach, and it's safe for standard septic systems. It never talks about, health, but we know that they don't have to. And so let's see, 100% recycled bath tissue with minimum 50% post-consumer recycled fibers. And then the very back says, if every household in the US replaced one 12-pack of 240 sheet virgin fiber bathroom tissue with this product, we could help save over 2,300,000 trees. Wow, that's what they say right here on their package. And then it just talks about their bath tissue. And again, don't suffocate on the plastic bag. And it's the same things that I've already read that are over here. So, it's really interesting. Now, I'm kind of saving the Mr. Whipple's favorite, right? The Charmin, because honestly, there's nothing on the back. It's completely, there's nothing here. I'll show you just to do it. Let me move our lint, and we're just about ready to wrap up. So this came in a bigger pack. I don't have that outer pack label, so that may have been the way to go. I probably have one upstairs, and but anyways, this I think was purchased at a Costco. 6 jumbos, and it just talks about that it's septic safe again, right? Smooth tear, a better tear. It's all about the tear. I don't know what FSC is, but it's got a check mark there, and that's it. It just says Charmin is safe for your sewers and your septic systems. It's made in the US by Procter and Gamble from domestic and imported materials. And don't suffocate on the plastic. And this one is unscented. So here it is. We talked about, look at, they've got this little, design or some gosh, I wonder if you could see just, the indentation, the design to make it, and the name is on it to make it kind of soft, but it's not really. I mean, it's soft to the touch, right? But it's not really like soft. I guess it's not about softness. For me, I want good quality and no chemicals or the best I can. So, anyways, any last questions? We kind of went over the products that I have here. I don't see any comments, but I just want to thank you for being here with me today. I always love sharing these conversations with you, even when they're about toilet paper. And I appreciate you showing up to talk with me about this and hopefully learn. And I just want to say, don't forget to eat your greens, up your fiber, up your beans, up your protein, and everything else through plants. And then when it comes out the other end, hopefully you will be ready for anything, having some new knowledge, hopefully, and maybe try something new. So, and as I always say, everybody, give plants a chance. Don't forget to eat your greens. Give plants a chance. I promise they won't disappoint. They won't disappoint. Okay? Take care, everyone, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much. Let me see if I could do this. Bye. Oh, goodness. Let's see if it will let me.